Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It goes with their outfit.
It does. Look at you.
Well, good morning. Let's call the, what is it, July 24th, the meeting of the Indiana Recycling Market Development Board to order. Welcome, everyone. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Deanna to do her housekeeping.
Yes, we have some people joining us on Teams today. So thank you for joining us. I'm Deanna Garner, Recycling Market Development Program Manager for Items Office of Program Support. All microphones are currently muted. For attendance tracking, please take a moment to write your name and affiliation in the chat box. We will be taking questions and comments from participants at today's meeting. All participants will be able to unmute themselves and ask questions or make comments at the appropriate times. If you have a question or technical issue during the presentation, please use the raise hand or chat features. For those on the phone, if you have a question or comment, you can raise your hand by pressing *9, and we will call on you at the appropriate time. When called upon, you'll need to unmute your phone by pressing *6. If any members of the media have joined us, please utilize the chat feature, or you may email rmdpgrants@idem.in.gov with any questions or if you would like to schedule an interview. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted on IDEM's website at recycle.in.gov. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Bruce.
All right, first order of business is the consideration and approval of the February 19th meeting summary and transcript. Everybody have an opportunity to review. With that, do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Huron. Any discussion? Any modifications, changes? Nothing. Okay, with that, all in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Hearing none, motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Next on the agenda, IDEM Office of Program Support update. Mr. Woodridge.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I wish I had, names on the board appointments, but I really don't. We've been talking about it a lot, and our commissioner really is trying to, move that ball forward, but I do know that the governor's office, the State House, has somewhere in the neighborhood of like 700 different board and commission appointments that they've been sorting through, so I don't know how they're prioritizing those and going through those, but as far as I know, we're still operating under, you're appointed until you're not. So I know technically, I think the letters that Deanna shared with me that I passed along up our chain, I think we're from 2020. So I think they expired in 2024.
Correct.
I've been talking about this with our leadership for probably pushing 2 years, quite honestly, because Pat and Deanna were talking to me about it long before we knew that those terms were going to end. So we're working on it. Our Commissioner Woods has some thoughts on how he'd like to see that happen. But I don't know that he's been given sort of the green light on that either. So I will keep you guys posted. I was with our commissioner to a clean marina, and we had a new marina that joined the clean marina program in our office last week. We did that. So I was in the car with him for like 5 hours, and this was one of the topics we talked about. So I did impress upon him that I think it'd be really nice if we could get the board appointments completed before the October meeting when you guys do the next round of grant awards. I think it would make all of us feel better. But so far there haven't been any questions or concerns about that sort of lagging. So does anybody have any questions about that? I mean, that's kind of what I know at this point and kind of where we're at.
As long as it doesn't affect our pay.
Appreciate you taking the question.
All the friends.
And I did let our commissioner know, as well, that like, you know, Kelly, your appointment was to represent the university requirement that we have for a board member, and, with Craig's passing, we have a vacancy on the board there too, so. And then I think Sandy, you changed roles as well.
I did.
So I
Mhm.
don't know how that affects your board potential reappointment, but, so we have a few things that, you know, people need to consider too when kind of move that ball forward eventually, so. Other than that, we've been, in addition to that, I should say, we've been dealing with, you know, quite a few executive orders. Not all of them have affected our agency, but we've been working through a lot of those at senior leadership with the agency. I think you guys all knew that the agency was accepting sort of public comments on the one executive order related to our regulations and the burden or overburden of any of those. So we got quite a lot back, and I think a lot of that has been posted on our website. It's right on our main item page, if you haven't seen that and are interested in looking at that. Our legislative director, Jake Torrey, who just joined us in February, is unfortunately leaving for another opportunity, I think outside of state government, I believe. So we're going to be looking for another legislative director, so that person's a little bit up to speed before the next legislative session in January. We, Office of Program Support, got moved into our renovated space in June, so we're excited about that. We're all back together in the same space and in a nice new office space, which has really been great because we've been in not the nicest place a time or two in the last year and a half. So, and scattered about on a couple of different floors. So, I think it's been nice for everybody to be back in the same space and, for collaboration purposes, especially. And I think since our last meeting in February, I don't think we had the general counsel filled yet. So Bill Anthony is our new general counsel for IDEM. He started probably in March, I think. So he is on board. I think the only position we're still kind of missing, our controller, Brianna Towler, who might be online, became our CFO earlier this year. So she's been trying to get the controller position filled. So I think she's getting ready to repost it because fortunately, I think the person that she offered the position to either took a different offer or where they were working currently might have made them an offer to stay. So I think she's having to circle back on that. So we have in OPS, we're getting ready for State Fair. So Stephanie Shuck in our office and Pat and, you know, Deanna's going to be out there and Jennifer. So a lot of our team will be out there along with a lot of our IDEM staff volunteering throughout the fair. We have a presence in the DNR building again. And also I think the DNR's building is celebrating its 75th anniversary. So they're doing a little thing, I think, on the first day of the fair on August 1st. So I'm planning to be out there. Pat's planning to be out there for that. And so we're looking forward to that. We're doing similar to what we did last year, which is each week we're kind of focusing on one of our primary offices. So one week will be water quality focused. The next week will be air quality and land quality. So, and then finally, the Jacob Schmicker is working on getting the word out on a couple of e-waste collection events that he's coordinating. The first one is August 2nd in Owen County, and then another one the following weekend on August 9th in Vermilion County. So I believe ERI, is that correct, is our vendor for that, doing the collection. Yeah. So I think you guys did that for us last year as well. So we're looking forward to those. Jacob always does a really good job of getting the word out, and we've had really good turnouts for those in the last couple of years.
He's
So,
bringing some stuff over tomorrow to help us get stuff set up.
yeah,
Did you say one was in Owen County?
Owen County, yes. Yeah.
They need-
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's been talking to you a little bit too, maybe,
Yeah.
about that, so. And I think that's all I have. Bruce.
All right. Thank you, Carl. Next item on the agenda, Deanna with a RMDP grant update.
Yep, so, we go back to fiscal year 24. That was the first year that we started doing grant agreements for 18 months versus a 12-month grant agreement. It just kind of, we'd started, encountering a lot more equipment purchase delays and projects taking longer. So instead of having to do an amendment for each one of them, we gave them a little bit more time at the front end. So instead of having them all closed out, we have 3 closed, 4 ongoing, is where I'm leading with that. One more is about to be closed out. I just need to do the final reimbursement and site visit. We have Indiana Shingle, they're gonna be on track to finish in November. Their grant agreement kind of started a little late. And CW Recycling is a construction demolition grant that we awarded. They did just reach out to me and are having trouble with permits with the city. So they are still quite delayed and are gonna need a year extension for that one that I just started working on. So, fiscal year 25 that we awarded, that would be the ones we awarded in October, are all executed and in progress. One of them's even started purchasing equipment and getting reimbursements, so moving forward well on those. And then, we're gonna take a moment now for the board to talk to Floyd County, so they are fiscal year 23 as well. Although that grant closed out, a lot of you guys probably already have heard that their commissioners are looking at either just defunding them, dissolving them. I'm gonna have their director, Dave Massengale, he's on our remotely, fill you in a little bit more, but we did fund them for a total of $52,255 for drop-off recycling trailers. So 1 trailer with open top roll-off and 1 roll-off box trailer, as well as some outreach and education planning costs, which not too much concerned at item with the education costs. Those were used for their mailers and other things. But there needs to be kind of a discussion now, if they do dissolve at the end of the year, what do we ask for regarding the trailers that we just help fund with 50% of the cost of it. So, Dave, do you want to provide a little bit more detail at this time?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So like Deanna's saying, our board has voted to dissolve our district. The board voted back in, I think it was May, the first vote to dissolve. The council has had 2 votes. The recent one was last Friday, the 18th. So they also are voting with the commissioners to dissolve us at the end of the year. So we're on the 180-day clock right now, which pushes us into January. But I'm being told that they want us probably shut down by mid-December. So that being said, I mean, we've had a lot of public outcry, a lot of public support at our meetings, but the guys behind the desk, the guys and gals are not listening. I mean, they are still moving forward with dissolving us. So I don't know what else to say. I mean, we just need to know, I guess, the direction of what to do. We have the trailers, and then we also have the baler, Deanna, that we bought with the grant. So
the Recycling Market Development Board that's meeting today funded the trailers. And then they actually, and in the same year, the community recycling grant funded them money to purchase a baler. So I have talked to our legal counsel, I've talked to Michael, I've talked to our finance. They're kind of basically saying that they will go with whatever the board decides. some options we've thrown out there, just so you have an idea, is, board asks back 50% of the sale cost of the equipment. So whatever they can sell the equipment for, we get that 50% back. Or, ideally, the Floyd County finds another, which is challenging with trailers, another municipality, another solid waste management district, or someone who could use the trailers for their intended purpose. And if those trailers are still being used for the intended purpose, then, right, that's a win-win for everybody still. So those are some options that have been thrown around, but I'm gonna leave it to the board to discuss more.
Is that something you can help with, Debbie, in the southern part of the state?
Yeah, I think we can find homes for that equipment that would be using it. I wish there was something we could do to stop this action now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to know, just like in 100 words or less, what's the reason for dissolution? Why does the county executive want to dissolve the solid waste district?
They are funded by edit funds and have said that they're gonna use those edit funds to replace the property tax funds that they're gonna lose due to Senate Bill number 1. However, Scott Stewart, who was the previous director, he mentioned this was gonna happen a year ago, and that was before Senate Bill 1. So, it's one of those, we'll just wait and see what, but there's 80,000 people in that county, and they have a pretty progressive.
And I've gotten the results back from Dave. This program has been very successful.
That's
They-
what I thought.
Yeah, it's very popular. They've increased their tonnage collected. They've increased revenue. So it is, we're all pretty saddened to hear that the
Yeah.
commissioners are not supportive of the district.
And
And
Yeah, like-
unfortunately, there's new, well, not new, but the latest code says that, districts can dissolve now. So,
It's been like that for a while.
yeah,
Yeah.
not new, but.
Soil and waters are getting hit hard, and then pre-extensions are getting cut as well.
Mhm.
It's all over.
Those county
we
services.
presented to them, maybe doing a special assessment like some counties do. And, it would be a minimal charge to residents and, not charging residents of New Albany, Georgetown, which have curbside for that being, charge of a smaller fee. And it wasn't even like, oh, let us see the numbers, or let's sit down and talk about it. It's just a done deal.
Yeah, there's been no attempts for them to sit down and discuss this. There's been no, I guess, request to sit down and see where we can, save money. It's just a decision that they've made. And like Debbie's saying, when Scott was here, there was talks of it happening 2 years ago. And we had board members that were very pro recycle. And those are the board members that prevented it from happening. And now that those people are off the board, then the commissioners that we have now that were voted in, they support the dissolving of the district. It's unfortunate because our numbers are up. We're having a record year, both with product and with revenue. But again, they really don't want to talk about it.
No spark of hope whatsoever within the voting body, correct?
The voting body was the commissioners, the 3 commissioners are the ones that began this, right? And then the solid waste board voted, I think it was 4-3 to do this. And then the city council voted along with them twice. And both times they voted 4-3 to dissolve.
What's the pleasure of the board? I don't know that there's anything we can do other than, is there any opportunity for somebody using trailers? Debbie?
I can find somebody use the trailers, I'm sure.
Question, is this county property though? Does the county own it?
The solid waste district.
Okay, so they would be able to do, okay.
So that would just go back to the solid waste district and say, okay, hey, we've got, I don't know what it is, 4 trailers and a baler. And we could go to another solid waste district person and they could disperse, Debbie, is that how it would work? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, and I'm thinking if some other district would take it and use it for the same purposes that, you know,
That's what I'm thinking.
you know, for recycling, then it probably could be transferred over. Terry just asked me why the solid waste board voted against it. Oh, that's true. One of the solid waste board appointed members works for the commission, one of the commissioners in his day job.
Well, the solid waste board is comprised of through the commissioners and
It's
council.
a correct board. Yeah, they have all the correct members, but.
Well, that's what I mean. It's the same people, the commissioners and the
Yeah, and then
council.
when you have 3 commissioners and then you have, you know, this appointed official, which is a town official.
Yeah.
Is appointed, but he also works in his day job for one of the commissioners,
Yeah,
which, you know, kind of puts him in a tough spot sometimes, you
so,
know.
I mean, not every solid waste district does this kind of thing, like
Yeah,
Dearborn County does, so I would, you know, be happy to, you know, help you check with them and see if they would be interested.
Yeah.
Cause they use trailers and balers.
But that way we keep the money that's already been allocated out, we keep it within the district, we don't have to worry about that piece of it, it still stays within the realm, is my thought process. Am I going down the right path, Bruce?
Well, my concern is legally, is there going to be any requirement to reimburse the state for the fair market value of the equipment? And then have another transaction with the receiving district?
So it's more if they sell it, right? Then, of course, that we gave them money to purchase it and they go back and sell it. That's where we run into issues.
So we can put in the motion, if they sell it, then we have to have that recouping of the 50%. But if
they transfer.
they transfer it to another solid waste or county, then it's good on our end.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I make that motion.
Say solid waste district or did you?
That's the
say-
county.
I have one more question. Is this the only county that is dissolving its solid
No.
waste district? Besides, I know Allen County did,
No,
but they
there's
still
no-
have like
Elkhart
a
County?
department that does recycling. They just,
They dissolved Allen County dissolved their district and then they reformed.
And they're doing
But-
exactly what's supposed to be done if you
Yeah.
dissolve the
Yeah.
district. It's
Well, I
supposed
know,
to
I'm
be,
in Allen
we're dissolve the
County.
district, but we're still gonna have these programs for the residents. And they do a great job. They're a really good example.
Yeah.
Elkhart County had 2 departments. They had landfill, they had solid waste, and the same people were doing the job. So they kind of combined them and dissolved their district. They're still doing the cycle. Perry County dissolved, I believe it was, Montgomery County dissolved, something like Montgomery.
So Perry,
Union?
so Perry County has reached out to me about our equipment. I think I was talking to you about that, Debbie.
Yeah.
And he's actually supposed to come to our location this afternoon to see what we have. I don't know. Again, I told him I did not know how this was going to work yet, so that's yet to be decided. But even though Perry County dissolved their district, they still have a recycle program that they're trying to rebuild, from what I understand.
So there are other counties, Clay and Owens kind of like that. I was glad to see they were getting their electronics because they've been kind of on the bubble for a while. They just don't have any income.
I have a question. Would we need to have any kind of relationship with wherever the entity the equipment goes to get reporting and data back from them?
I think that would be up to the board, however they want the word motion that's unworded at this point. Miss Henry,
Yeah, and that was
I think
brought
we
up
should
the
include
question
that.
of, what if they sell it for scrap and it's $100, you know?
That's what.
Right.
County, I got it.
Yeah, so you wanna, be careful exactly how you word the motion and do you want approval of this sale
I
or
think,
something, you know?
I think it's a great idea to try to transfer the equipment to another solid waste district that would use it in a similar fashion. Yeah,
You said not all have solid waste districts or groups, so it's a county running it.
that's true. There are a few of those.
Yeah, but you mentioned, you're like, they
Yeah.
don't have a district, so how could we allow that to transfer in the motion? Do we have to say the county? That's why I said,
If they don't have a district.
that's why I said county, because a lot of mine around like,
Yeah.
they don't.
I just was thinking, you know, if the county takes it and like you said, they think, oh, it's not worth anything, so let's sell it for scrap. So, yeah, we need to have some type of agreement with that will we continue to use, because it's new staff.
Yeah,
It's pretty
new
new as
staff.
far as life's concerned. So you're, yeah, some kind of accountability.
scraps.
Why don't we just tell the county they have to make us whole for the total amount, whatever they sell it to for another district? Or if they wanna scrap it for $100, that's fine, but they're giving the state back the entire money. I mean, you can kind of call it a penalty or whatever, but you're getting rid of your recycle program. You're going against, the state has, what, we're trying to do 50% recycling goal. You're going against the state. I think we just tell them, you pay us back what we gave you because you're getting rid of your district and go from there.
Well, I think that's another way of looking at it, and I think it's a clean way of looking at it. Be done with, we don't have to worry whether it goes to county or solid waste, you know, whatever entity. Yeah, or if they scrap.
The only, I think that might, I mean, I agree with you. I agree with what you're saying. But I think that might, hasten them to dissolve the district before those 180 days because they need to have that dollar amount left in their treasury. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if we do that and the county forces us to pay that back out of our budget, then that will shut us down way earlier than December because we won't be able to make payroll.
Which is unfortunate. We were trying to.
Do we have to make a decision now? Can we wait until it gets closer and then the county has to pay?
Well,
They still,
believe me, the commissioners are watching every penny. I have to sit down with them every month, trying to make sure that we have enough money left over to pay. That's why I'm trying to get a dollar figure. So I know if I'm going to be able to keep people employed until the end of the year, or are we going to have to shut down so we can pay back the money for the equipment? The county's not going to pull any money out of their pocket.
Dave, did your board members know you're on this call today?
Yeah, I don't know if they know that I'm on this call. I never invited any of the board members.
Okay.
Hey, Dave, how many people is this affecting from an employment standpoint?
There are 14 people.
Okay,
And
so-
I am the only full-time person. Everyone else is part-time.
Okay, so we were looking at 14 people that we asked the state for the money, we would affect, or ask the county for the money, we would affect 14 people being laid off earlier than what was anticipated, correct?
Plus the program would shut down earlier. I mean, if you want to say that the 180-day clock has started, I mean, I don't know, is there a slim chance that they may change their mind? I know they're trying to get pricing and quotes from other companies to do this, but I don't know if they're ever going to find someone to do it for what we are doing it for. So, you know, is there a slim chance? I guess there's a very, very slim chance that they could change, they'll be forced to change their minds. I don't know. They're not listening to the public right now. So I don't know.
So is the current plan, if the funding remains to the end of the year, that you would actually continue to recycle until the end of the year?
That's what I'm being told, that we're not going to be touched until the end of the year. So I still have the remainder of my budget for 2025. We're supposed to have a special meeting next month to discuss the 26 budget, which has been given to the county auditor, but I don't foresee them approving that. It will be probably be a quick discussion. They'll sit and tell you that it's not over yet. You know, if you ask one of the commissioners, they'll say it's not over yet. We still have to wait for the 180 days. But the feel that we get is they want it to be over.
So if you were to identify a recipient of the equipment now, let's just say, and then they would wait until December, and if nothing miraculous happens and it does close down, it would transfer after that time?
Yes.
And I think
Yeah.
what Kelly's leading into, I would agree that if there was a legal binding document that states after the 180-day period, if your program goes under, this equipment is going to transfer to another solid waste district, signs on as the receiver of that equipment for the same general use and purpose, then we would be okay with that. But on the flip side, if we don't have that, in lieu of that, you know, we're going to have an understanding that there's going to be an amount expected to be reimbursed back to the state. And it's going to be whatever the fair market value of that equipment is, 50% of.
So, but what I don't understand is if they're dissolved, does the county then have legal responsibility to repay those funds?
So here's,
That's our-
I'm gonna read the grant agreement, but
The
yeah,
county would get everything that was left behind.
it says here grantee, so the grantee, so it's whoever, you know, signing this grant agreement, but I don't know how that happens when they dissolve, but for tangible property over $1,000 under the terms of this agreement shall be owned and utilized by the grantee for the purpose consistent with the intent of this grant agreement for the useful life of the equipment. In addition, the state shall maintain an interest in any tangible property purchased under the terms of this grant agreement to the state at the extent of the state's contribution. So that's where we have that weird, it just says we have interest in the tangible property and it must be used for its useful life. So go ahead, I think Michael.
James French, by the way. Yeah, I think we also successfully assignees clause in there that said that anybody who comes after them and takes over, whatever that might be, so we might rely heavily on that in order to say the county being the successor would be the one that will go there.
If that,
But it might be, yeah, we have to look into that to make sure that would be an automatic process and not one that they would take on or, you know, what the ramifications would be there.
yeah, I mean, given everything that we've discussed, I think my preference would be one, it just gets reassigned at the end of the 180 days. And then if they're unable to do so, if it could transfer and then the county had the financial responsibility to repay the funds, that would be my preference. I wouldn't want to do that now and, you know, stop the program short. I know it's gonna eventually end anyways, but.
We do have a motion on the table.
Do we need to reword it, Bruce?
Well, it wasn't my motion, so I'm going to ask Tara to reword it.
There's motion on the floor, you gotta have a discussion and then you can do an amendment. The motion was that we would say that if they go to sell the equipment, that we want our 50% of the funds back. And of course, that includes, when they sell something like that, they have to go to the state process. And then, so then if they want to, they can also, pass it on to another county program.
So that was the motion.
And I said county program because not every county has a solid waste management district. And that was the motion.
There's
What about-
motion. And our discussion is now, as Kelly just outlined, we have her version, we have Matt's version of just asking for the money back.
And there's no second, then the motion just dies too.
I'm sorry?
If there's no second, that motion, then it just dies.
Yes.
So just a heads up there.
So what's the pleasure of the board?
Is it permissible to say something before the,
Sure, this is a discussion period.
I'm agreeing with what she's saying. If you just remove county out of that and say solid waste district,
How many solid waste districts are in the state of Indiana?
sorry,
How many solid waste districts? 50 in the state of Indiana?
it just,
I didn't think there was that many.
No, seven.
Okay, I didn't think there was that many.
there's 70, yeah. And there's my question is, what if the municipality wants to use it for a recycling program? Because some municipalities are trying to help counties out.
We did get a request from Scottsburg. I was contacted by
Certain counties.
Well, couldn't it be any of them? Couldn't we say county, solid waste, or municipality?
We can say whatever we want. That's the beauty.
That's what I'm trying to get to.
I'd like to include municipality, is it? I mean, not that I'm looking for this, or would go after this equipment, but I might be helping our solid waste district out a little bit in the future too, so. Like you said, there might be some municipalities.
Okay, so,
Is this motion been seconded?
Not yet. Nope.
no,
No.
Oh, okay.
We're just,
Just want to see it die. So the word is-
okay, with the discussion held, do we have a second to this motion? All right, with that, motion dies. Now, is there a motion to come up with a solution that would better be worded to the board's pleasure?
I can take a stab.
Do it,
Yeah.
Kelly, do it.
You were just published, so.
I would like to make a motion that the equipment at the end of the 180 days be transferred to another county solid waste management district or municipality. If it is not, if it is sold, that we would recoup 50% of that sale price. Or if it is neither of those, that the transfer of responsibility would go to the county and they would refund the monies that were owed, that were granted.
I think she got it all.
Kelly, you did intentionally, I think, did not put county in there.
she did.
I think
the-
she did, she did.
She was a county.
Said solid waste.
To the county and solid waste and municipalities.
Yeah, so that goes on through.
Okay, with that, we have a motion by Ms. Lear. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Hackman. Any additional discussion?
I've just got one question. So what if the selling price of the equipment within the county is $200 and you're only going to get $100 back? That's 50%.
You can set a cap in the state process, the bidding process, that you not accept less than a certain amount.
Basically,
Yeah, I
what
just
it
think you need to understand what the equipment is worth and not have any open end loops because they will take advantage of them. If you say 50% of the selling price, what keeps them from selling it to someone for a low price.
Transfer it, and if we can't find somebody to take it to use it for its intended purpose, then it would go back to the county.
And-
So we were, be confident that we will find somebody to take it for their intended.
I wonder if we add the wording, fair market value of that equipment. That give us a little bit of protection.
You think I'm that good at reading it? I try to take notes. market value. We talk about
So-
the county at fair market value.
So I have the equipment at end of 100 days would transfer to county solid waste management to the or municipality. If not, then we would recoup 50%. He said sale price, so we want to say fair market.
Okay, yeah, I would say that we. Different. Fair price. Fair market.
Oh, really? That's not our purview.
More than likely, we'll follow the example. That was the item.
Any other comments or discussion? We have a motion, do we have, amendment to the motion? Do I have a second for the amendment?
I'll second that.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none.
Yes.
Mr. Newman? That motion carries unanimously. Use your equipment. Try to get them to change their mind. I'm sorry.
We just voted on the amendment. We can vote on the motion.
Now, we need to vote on the motion.
We're going to change first.
Yeah. Your motion. Yeah. With the amendment. Bigger.
Yes.
And with the amendment. Yes. Mr. Goodman? Yes. Stackman?
Yes.
Mr. Pratt?
Yes.
Ms. Whitehead?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan? Yes. Myself, yes. Now, we're complete, motion carries unanimously. Now, you have the opportunity to use that equipment until the end of the year, and if you can convince them to breathe life back in the recycling program, you can continue.
And is that grant still open or is it closed? Oh, it's closed. Okay. We don't need more reporting. Correct.
Can we, as a board, provide just a little statement for Dave to take back to, his board? Imploring them, just as your statement says, that, you know, we hope as a board that they can find life in their solid waste district and funding, and we hope that they change of heart.
I would love to make a statement, but I have a personal conflict in making this statement. So it's going to have to come from someone else.
Well, Dave, I just made that statement. Do you want to? Would you like to take that back to your board and just let them know that, you know, your commissioners and your council, that from the Recycling Market Development Board, that we hope that they can find a way to maintain the solid waste district instead of dissolving it? Because we, of course, see great value in the work that you do.
I can't, everything that people are saying is choppy to me. I can't hear clearly what anyone's saying.
You send him an email later?
Yeah,
Have it in writing?
yeah. Is that okay with
Yeah,
everybody?
general
Yeah.
consensus, yes.
Okay.
Dave, can you hear us now?
I can hear you now.
You'll be receiving an email from Ms. Sandy Whitehead, expressing the feelings of the board with regard to the situation.
Okay.
You can share that with your board. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you.
that, I did want to just give a brief overview of the things that we did on June 18th. We received 14 proposals totaling little over $4.6 million requested. We have started those compliance visits. I am providing the proposals to our staff to review. We'll review them and score them, and then the board will receive our scores along with the proposals to review and score on September 3rd, with the due date of October 3rd. Yeah, it's an interesting round. We have some industry, but a lot more municipalities and universities. Lastly, if there are questions about it, I did arrange to have two of our past grantees kind of talk to us just for 15 minutes, talk about the success of their program and if they found maybe some things they would do differently next time and we can do it again. And first on my agenda, I have electronics international. The first one is finance. David can be there ready to share.
I think you're asking for me. I really can't hear you. You're very choppy. Okay.
Yes, David, we are. It's all you. Sorry about the
Okay.
chop. We're working on it.
No problem. Sorry about that. So, yeah, thank you for inviting me, Deanna. Happy to be here to give an update on our grant that we received 2 years ago for battery sorting. I'm going to share my screen if that makes sense. Did that pop up?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Great. So again, very much appreciate the opportunity to give an update. I think most folks know who ERI is, so I will skip over the first few slides, just talking about who we are. So historically, we've been very focused on electronics recycling over the last few years. The volume of batteries coming into our doors has greatly increased, and not just within devices, but also loose. And so we entered into a partnership with Call to Recycle to help support their program of sorting loose batteries. And as many folks know, there's been quite a bit of challenges with fire safety issues, particularly with lithium batteries that have a tendency to have what we call thermal events. And then those events can then spread to the other batteries and cause a big issue. So there was a system that was developed called One Drum that has a special fire safe material that's used to encapsulate a battery that is potentially causing a thermal event and protect it from spreading to the other batteries. And so with that, these drums have a special permit to allow for the movement of batteries without having to individually tape each terminal. And so as we were growing this program with Call to Recycle, we really needed to work on making this process more efficient at our facilities so that we can actually bring in more batteries and expand the program. And so the grant that we developed, that we put in proposal was to, first of all, purchase a set of drums that could be used to launch the program. So again, the drum is not just a basic drum, but it's a drum with the cell block pallets and all the instructions and importantly, the permit that allows for the movement of this material without extra requirements. So it's not only you can tape the terminal, you don't have to tape the terminals, but also you can commingle batteries. But with commingling of batteries and with using this fire safe technology, there's quite a bit of dust that needs to be sorted through. And of course, we still need to sort those batteries by chemistry to be able to properly manage. So then we developed a sorting table and conveyor that was able to allow us to unload these drums onto a conveyor, have our team sort by chemistry, and then collect the cell block, which is the fire safe material, at the end of the process so that that can be reused. And so this is the conveyor that was installed at our facility. Works incredibly well. And so as you can see, those commingled batteries get dumped onto this conveyor and goes through that process. On top of that, we also installed what's called a fire rover, which is some fire safe equipment to detect a thermal event before it happens. So basically, this is using thermal x-rays to constantly look for potential heating, or not x-rays, sorry, infrared, to look for any areas that are heating up unnecessarily. It'll immediately detect it, notify us, our teams can manage it. And then in the event that there is an actual fire that can't be managed, it then has a fire suppression system, and it can deploy into the facility and put out any fires. And so this can happen overnight. So even if we are not at the facility is closed. If something happens, the system will detect the thermal event, notify us, and then put out any fires in case of any issues. Knock on wood, it has detected lots of thermal activity, but it has not had to be deployed at our facility, which is great news. The best part of this is the detection. We hope to never have to actually empty out all the canisters. So here you can see the inside of the fire safety of the rover. You can see, how many different areas out of our facility it's looking at. And also, this is the tank with the fire suppression system and all of the electric components used to deploy that tank if needed. So the program's been incredibly successful. So first of all, we increased our sorting efficiency threefold. So the amount of batteries that we're able to sort at a time dramatically increased. Since the grant has been launched, we've sorted 800,000 pounds, actually over 800,000 pounds of batteries from one drum. Most of that material is alkaline batteries, but it is still 15% lithium batteries and then 18% other types of batteries. And so what we've seen is alkaline are still the biggest ones out there, but what the one drum does, enabling this mixed battery sorting, we're able to get more of the lithium as well as everything else. We've also, because of this grant and the use of the drums that we purchased, we were able to launch the nationwide Staples collection program. Staples has 18 stores in Indiana, as well as well over 1,000 stores nationwide. And now all stores in the US accept all batteries for recycling from anybody at no cost. And so that's been a huge boom to consumer opportunities to get rid of their batteries, including their lithium batteries as well as alkaline batteries. We still service all of the call to recycle collection points that use one drum, and we've used these one drums at collection events in partnership with IDEM in Allen County and different businesses throughout the state as well. This is a picture of the one drum in action in Staples. So you see they put their own base on it to make it look more store friendly, but essentially this is that same component, that one drum system. On top of that, because we've been able to launch this one drum program, we have installed our own alkaline battery system in Indiana. So now that we realize that over 60% of the batteries that are coming in are alkaline batteries, we now have installed our own battery processing in the state of Indiana, specifically for alkaline. And so not just all the material from the one drum, but we receive alkaline batteries from many collectors throughout the country, including Indiana, and we're able to process all of that in-house at our Plainfield facility, which is sort of a good impact of the grant has kind of expanded from there. And on top of that, we now are developing and hopefully installing or actually not hopefully, we're installing a BAT scan system that'll enable us to automate the detection of batteries by chemistry. So kind of going further on that conveyor system, we'll then be able to actually automate the detection of each of the battery chemistries and automate that process. So that is my update. So we've been incredibly appreciative of this grant. It really helped kickstart quite a few projects. And I think it's been very successful. So again, we really appreciate the board's support on this program.
Thank you very much, David. Your presentation was very comprehensive. Every question I had, I think you touched on there as you closed out. So I was kind of interested in, putting some AI and robotics on your sorting table. But it looks like you guys are well on your way to that. So great job. Very impressive.
Dave, I
No,
have a
thank
question,
you. Yeah.
if you don't mind. In the Staples store, the picture that you showed with the collection containers, those are in the stores and people just put their batteries in with nobody seeing what they are. I mean, you throw a bunch of batteries in there, does that cell block keep them from catching fire if there's a problem?
So most of the stores actually keep these behind the counter, and then they have the staff accepting them. But yes, so the way the cell block and the other similar materials are supposed to work is that you do a layer. It's almost like a cake. So you're doing a layer of cell block. You're adding batteries in, and then the stores are instructed to add another layer of cell block. And it doesn't keep the batteries from catching fire, but usually if something happens with one battery, it's not an issue. What happens is if one battery heats up, it then spreads to the next battery and the next battery. And so what the cell block does is if one battery heats up and gets too hot, it'll actually, it's a glass material that basically encapsulates that battery and protects the heat from spreading to any other battery. And so to answer your question, no, this is generally behind the counter, but the cell block is designed to, I wouldn't say it's the staff are trained, but they're still, your standard staff are able to handle this because that they just mainly have to keep those layers of cell block in the drums.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
David, do these include batteries for like power tools, like your DeWalt's and walkies?
Yes. So those batteries can be accepted. The only ones that aren't included in this is sort of larger format batteries. We don't want your e-bike batteries or anything like that. And then the specific program and this specific drum doesn't accept DDR batteries, your damaged, defective, recalled batteries. You do want to, just because that's a higher risk, you want to have those in a separate container. But yes, your power tool batteries, absolutely.
Good to know.
Is the technology available to get mostly away from hand sorting?
So that's what we're working towards with our BAT sort system, where yes, it will detect the batteries by chemistry and then automate the sorting of that material. So that's probably going to be installed Q4 of this year or Q1 of next year. And once we really test it out, we'll see the success, but we're excited about that moving away from sorting by chemistry. Yes. I mean, from manual sorting. And that does use an X-ray system as well as AI to be able to look inside the batteries.
Batteries.
Sorry, can someone closer to the microphone repeat that? I can't hear that.
Guys accept the batteries from baking devices.
From baking baby devices?
Victor, APE.
Oh, no. So if it is a vape device with a removable battery, then yes, the removable battery could be accepted. But if it is a disposable vape that does not have a removable battery, then those are not accepted because those are hazardous waste or controlled substances, depending on where you are and what the vape is used for. And so we can't accept those devices at our facilities, and Staples couldn't accept those at their locations, unfortunately. So there's oils and controlled substances and things that make those hazardous materials under the federal law.
Thank you. Any other questions? Well, very impressive. Thank you very much for sharing with us. Very informative.
No, thank you all. Happy to share.
Next, Deanna.
All right. Next, I have asked Andrew King from Recycle Force to talk to us about their grant program. They received I'm going to say the wrong thing, but it's for their foam recycling program. It compacts the foam to make it easier to recycle expanded polystyrene. Andrew, can you hear us, and are you ready to tell us a little bit about your project?
Hey, yeah, I can hear you, and I do not have a fancy PowerPoint. I'm sorry. But that is very cool about the batteries. So, yeah, so I'm Andrew. I'm with Recycle Force. We currently just moved into our new facility here. I guess it would have been the beginning of end of 2023, 2024, kind of when this grant cycle was happening. So part of that moving in was to try to solve some problems that are questions that we continuously got from the public about items that can and cannot be recycled. Can we drop these off and stuff like that? So when we were building the new building, we applied with help with this grant and purchased a Rooney corkscrew styrofoam compactor so that and we placed it at the actual drop-off site. Polystyrene is recyclable, but why a lot of companies do not accept it is because it's basically air and you can't really afford to touch it, move it, or really do anything with it. So we placed the machine basically at our community dock where people drop off, and it allows us then to offer free for the community styrofoam recycling drop-off. So we kind of got the machine up and going at the beginning of 2024. So it's been going pretty well for the past almost 18 months now. And that is my phone. So I think we have processed about 70,000 pounds of styrofoam from the public. The machine that we got is one of the smaller versions. So we don't really offer this to a lot of our company corporates that have styrofoam. We do offer it to a handful of solid waste districts that we do recycle for. So that, they're able to offer those. So we do have a handful of solid waste districts that collect styrofoam for us and bring it in here. The machine's throughput's only about 700 pounds a day, which is actually a semi-load-ish of styrofoam. So like it takes up a lot of space, but it compacts down into one skid. So the size reduction is pretty close to like a 1:50 ratio. So we're able to do a couple different things once that styrofoam is compacted. One option that we utilized is that we're able to send it to Brightmark Energy. They can convert the polystyrene into a naphtha oil that's used to make new plastic. And then actually today, oddly, we are sending a test load of the styrofoam to a styrofoam recycler that actually makes new styrofoam out of it. So we're going to see how if they like it, and we might continue doing that with them too.
Interesting.
And I'm sorry I don't have a PowerPoint. I was told like last week that we were presenting, and I was like, oh, okay. And then Dave had a very fancy PowerPoint.
Well, you've got the knowledge now. We're gonna tap the knowledge a bit. So what do you see as the opportunity here? Is there opportunity as far as more available volume where we could implement more units to compact the styrofoam?
So one, I do want to, volume wise, I've got to be very mindful when we first, because I do want to offer free recycling to the public, right? That to me, that is a very important thing. We wrote that in the grant. It's something that, I think is kind of the focal point. So I don't want to be able to bring in so much styrofoam, and I'll give you a project that was asked for us to look at. So you guys remember the old COVID styrofoam boxes that was used in Project Warp Speed during COVID, where they would put the COVID vaccines in a styrofoam box and mail it to all the CVS?
Yes.
So we apparently, or somebody found us, but so we found like 750 semi-loads of the excess material of that. And they wanted us to process it. And I was kind of like, I can't take in 12 semi-loads a day. One, the machine just can't go that fast. So there's lots of styrofoam out there. There's potential for growth, but it's very challenging, right? It is a lot of air. There's labor involved. So figuring out, do we want to get more machines? I've talked with a couple of different partners that we have about putting in machines there. So it's still, we're kind of like looking at the numbers, making sure they make sense. But it's definitely something that, we definitely market, talk about, and a lot of the community members, and the solid waste districts that are sending it to us, they really appreciate, because a lot of people think you can't actually recycle it.
I guess one of the questions, I always look at the economics, I'm sorry, and you're doing it for free. And with everything, all the effort that you're putting into it, do you have a positive ROI?
No. I mean, no, it's styrofoam, right? I mean, for me also, in the e-waste world, we generate styrofoam, right? Dave knows we all get flat screen TVs. If you get new flat screen TVs that are in boxes, they all have 2 pieces of styrofoam. So we have to figure out how to manage our own styrofoam. For me, this is the opportunity to communicate, engage with the community, and show them unique solutions. But we do communicate a lot because I have a lot of companies that reach out and they're like, hey, we want to send you our styrofoam. And I'm like it's probably going to be like $50 a pound, right? Like you're not going to be able to afford to do it. Nor do I want to take in so much styrofoam that I can't offer it to the public.
My question is, what number would it take for you to be able to do it? For a large process or a large generator? Is it a $50 a pound product
I'd have to run the numbers because a lot of times, again, so with all plastic, if you're going to get it recycled, it has to be clean. So a lot of the plastic that we see, there's tape on it. The tape has to be removed, right? There might be pieces of plastic embedded into it. I've seen that, or pieces of cardboard. So it has to be clean. So sometimes there's a labor step in process before we can actually size and, corkscrew the stuff. So it's really project specific. But you also have to remember, like, the machine can only do 700 pounds a day, right? It's not one of the large machines that are out there. There's not a lot of large machines that are out there because, you just, the ROI on it is so hard, right? To me, the real focus is not, again, one of the unique things about Recycle Force is that we are a nonprofit, right? The way we operate is a little bit different than for-profit electronic recycling companies or just recycling companies, right? For me, we find that we try to do things for the community if we can get it to break even, right? And I look at it as the opportunity. If I can get somebody's styrofoam that's driving it here and dropping it off, I'm probably getting their computer also, or their printer. Like, I'm getting other things just because they know they can come here. Well, they can also put e-waste with the stuff that they're bringing here too, right? But running an actual business for styrofoam, I mean, I think it'd be very challenging. Yeah.
Andrew, where are your markets for the densified styrofoam? What happens to it after it's densified?
So I can send it to Brightmark Energy, which is in Ashley, Indiana. They use a pyrolysis process to convert commingled mixed plastics, and they convert it into a naphtha oil that is used to make new plastics. So sometimes when I have, mixed commingled plastics, it's a great outlet for that. I am using, I was saying earlier, I have found a styrofoam company that does take styrofoam to make new styrofoam. We are sending them a load actually today to see, if they can test it, how they like the contamination levels, and if they're interested in continue sending it or continue having the styrofoam from us from that. That's the other challenging thing is, in the recycling world, plastic is hard to recycle. Other plastics contaminates plastics. A little bit of LDPE or film plastic mixed in with the styrofoam can cause problems. And, they really want very clean styrofoam and clean product streams. And that goes with polypropylene, it goes with HDPE, it goes with almost every plastics. And it's hard to produce a clean stream of a single source plastic. But we're sending them a test and hopefully they're able to accept it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Andrew, am I correct in that your business, Recycle Force, is a rehabilitation program, like a work?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Okay.
we are considered a social enterprise. So the concept of what we do is we apply for grants at the mostly federal level, but some on the state level, where we use those grant monies to enroll people that have recently been released from jail or prison. The current grants that we're running right now, they're actually being selected at their exit of DOC. We've noticed that we're able to help more people and have better outcomes with the people if we can get them a job sooner. right? So we're testing that right now through a grant right now with, the pre-release from DOC. People come into our program, we pay $15 an hour. While you're here, you're working at the recycling company. The basic stuff that we kind of do is like we do the basic 18 OSHA classes. We do RCRA, we do HAZWOPER 40, we do EPA 608 training for Freon reclaiming. Forklift, obviously, right? But then you actually get the hands-on experience of working in a warehouse. Why do you have to wear, gloves and goggles? Like, because you're working at the recycling center. Then we have a staffing company that we run called Keys to Work that then goes out and helps people after they cycle through the program to get a better job. And a lot of times those are a temp job. Sometimes they're a temp to hire job, and sometimes they're a permanent hire job. And then we bring in new people and do it all over again. So we're always in a constant cycle of basically training new people.
Yeah, and I think it's a wonderful program, and I just wanted to bring that to light because I think that might help some of the board members who didn't know that to help understand why you can deal with this hard to deal with material that maybe other businesses, as you said, a for-profit business might not be able to. Am I correct? Like, because of the grants that you receive, like does this help you to be able to do this styrofoam recycling?
So, we don't use the federal grants in that way. We are using the federal grants to pay people, right? In doing so, we do tend to kind of try to figure out projects that are challenging, right? We're looking at vapes, right? I mean, they are a problem. They are catching fires. We were just in California a month ago. And a company that manages recycling streams is having, I think, one of their $500,000 trucks catch on fire once a week because of vapes. There was a fire on the side of the road in Indianapolis down south a couple months ago. But they're challenging, right? They've got universal waste, they've got e-waste, they've got nicotine, which is an acute hazardous waste. And then you have the ones that have probably illegal stuff in them too, right? So there are challenging things. So we tend to look at unique opportunities because we have so many people that we're enrolling to work and train. So it gives us the ability to look at other items that a lot of people are like, oh, the margins are too small. We're like, well, hey, I need to keep people working. Let's try to solve some of the weird problems that are in the recycling world.
Yeah, I think it's great. So thank you for the work that you do.
Yeah, okay. It's fun.
I thought it was very informative. I think Sana brings up a good point. You have the opportunity to test some product that others won't take the time to do because they don't want to lose the money on it.
Yep.
700 pounds a day, or I think that's what you said, 700 pounds a day?
Yeah, probably that's the max for the machine. And I think I was looking at what we've shipped out, and I think we're roughly around 70,000 pounds of what styrofoam that we've taken in from the public and a handful of solid waste districts.
And I guess if I understood you right, that's like a semi-load full of styrofoam cups, correct?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like 700 semis, right? Wait, was it? Yeah, that's like that's 100 semis of styrofoam, basically.
Right. So, I mean, you're doing great work. We appreciate the insight, and the more we can learn from your efforts, the more we may be able to find a solution eventually.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's kind of, my boss always talks about like, hey, we're never going to be as big as ERI. Like, our focus is different. Our focus is on the people. But why not try to figure out things so that other people can, we can do it on a bigger scale in the state, or even other in the United States in other recycling centers, right? Like, let's use this opportunity that we have with the people and the ability to get different grants, and explore the different things in recycling to figure out solutions, right? He's always talking about like, we're like a little test lab. And I'm like, well, yeah, that is kind of what my office looks like. It looks like a little test lab.
The only thing that made me cringe-worthy in your whole presentation was that you take styrofoam for free. And it kind of sends the wrong message out there to the general public. But,
Yes, it does.
and any other questions or comments from board members?
Be sure to let us know when you start making money on styrofoam recycling.
I mean,
Because
I can go back and I could probably, I have a couple models that I've built and find out what the actual number would have to be charged to be able to make a 20% margin on it. It's probably not a fun number. But again, this is why, again, as a nonprofit, we have different focus points, right? I'm more than happy to offer it for the public for free. I'm more than happy to offer it to a handful of the solid waste districts that want to do that, right? It's creating those relationships and bonds. And honestly, it's one of the biggest questions I get between styrofoam and pizza boxes. Those are like my top two questions that like, can pizza boxes be recycled and can anybody recycle styrofoam? I mean, I've been doing this for 16 years. That's most of the questions I get.
All right. Anything else? Well, thank you very much. Appreciate your presentation and good luck moving forward.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Andrew.
All right, now I believe next item on the agenda is the Indiana Material Management Plan progress.
Yes. I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek. I thought this was going to be the easiest way to update you guys. So as you guys are well aware, we contracted with Eunomia at the beginning of the year to develop an Indiana State Materials Management Plan, a little bit more comprehensive than our past solid waste management plan, as well as it was way overdue since our last state solid waste plan was done in 1990. And I encourage you to sign up to this as well, but coming up July 31st, there's going to be a virtual meeting with Eunomia that they're going to update everybody on the progress. And so I was just going to share some of their slides we have that we are working towards. So kind of like the reminder, this is to advance post-consumer materials management, provide a strategy for the state to reach its 50% goal, understand our current waste management strategies, where the gaps are, where the challenges are, identify stakeholders, promote economic growth in Indiana via waste management practices, as well as assist local government and solid waste management districts. So this basically says that the plan is, they're currently determining targets and measurements, and the plan is due to be finished by the end of the year. One of the first things they did was model what we're currently doing to determine our baselines and identify prioritized material streams, as well as then shortlist different diversion levers. We had this debate yesterday, whether it's levers or levers. That would help move that path towards more of our 50% recycling goal. This just kind of shows some of the numbers. It's this one I'm going to kind of skip over because it's a bit misleading on tonnage versus our recycling rate that the EPA uses versus what is really being recycled throughout the state. And this again, so it shows a little bit of disposal tons per capita. So what I kind of wanted to share with you guys here is the materials that they're really going to start focusing on, these are all the materials in scope, but the top three that are going to be priority materials that we're gonna identify levers and ways to move forward are municipal solid waste, including the paper, plastics, glass, metal, packaging, construction and demolition waste, and organic waste. So they've done some calculations on the diversion potential for those, as well as their economic value potential to recover in those values. And that's how they were able to identify those as the priority materials that they will model further. And then they had these long list of levers. They had item staff look at this, they looked at it, and we looked at it against these RAG, they call it, which is kind of a red, yellow, green assessment for how big their input was, basically. And they looked at it for these potential assessments. So potential for waste diversion, ease of documentation and reporting, timescales for implementation costs and resources needed, potential stakeholder, political opposition, as well as potential for other co-benefits such as economic development, job creation, emissions reduction. And this is the overview of the shortlisted levers that they came up with. So some of these affect both the commercial and residential sector, as you see. Others are just more focused on commercial sector. For instance, the very first one, food waste diversion requirements, would be a commercial-based impact and would have a huge impact on that reaching that 50% goal. So that's right there at the top. But we also included other things, recycling requirements, definitely stakeholder and public education campaigns. MRM targets in addition to our 50% recycling goal, as well as investment, of course, which is kind of part of what we do as our jobs there. So other things that are next steps that are coming up, there will be 4 regional open houses that IDEM is hosting. So people will have a chance in person to come in, walk through. We're going to have basically posters. They'll be like open house style. So we'll have posters about some of the results that you've seen, some of the graphs, the modeling. They'll be able to answer questions, and they'll be able to provide feedback to us that will help also put those feedback into the plan as well. So those will be occurring between mid-August to mid-September, excuse me. We have one northwest, north, southwest, and southeast. And then will be a final call for data. They are currently doing surveys as well. They'll continue doing the surveys because we haven't, of course, surveys are hard to get results back from our stakeholders. So they'll continue to take survey results and put that into their baseline modeling. And that's about it. So for that, do you guys have any questions about that? I just wanted to give a little bit more input on how it's going, how they're doing the plan, what it might look like in the end.
Any questions? Thank you, Deanna. Next item on the agenda, study review. Basically, we wanted to talk about a couple different items. We talked about waste characterization studies and market studies, other program, market development work. We have the opportunity, and I think rather than just focusing on approving what comes in, how can we pool our minds to think of what can we go out and touch to generate a market, to develop a program, to feed that end market. So my thought is, have we really done a good end market study throughout the state to see who is in need of additional raw materials. And whereas recyclable raw materials could offset virgin raw material. I mean, we've got a huge plastic company in Evansville, Indiana. And I don't know what all they take. I'm sure somebody does, but how much recycle are they taking versus virgin? And how could we change those ratios? Would it be worthwhile to invest in a study to do those kind of things? What do the other board members think about that? Debbie, I'm leaning on you.
I think that if the manufacturer's going to use virgin material or recycled material, it's gonna narrow down to price. And that's gonna determine how much they're gonna use of either product. There may be a few manufacturers out there that'll say, oh, let's use recycled because it's recycled and we're doing the right thing for the environment. But, you know, at the end of the day, they've got to answer to the CEO, you know.
I guess I'm wondering, like along Bruce's lines, is there a story that we should be telling that's not there yet? Like just from me attending conferences, when you identify like Indiana, and I tell everybody this and they're shocked, has tons of end markets for recycled material. We're a manufacturing state and people are importing it into Indiana to recycle it. But nobody knows that. Nobody knows that that's a huge economic impact for the state. So that tells a story about not just, you know, where our end markets are, but the economics and that the value of recycling as a whole. It's almost a bigger picture of like, why do you recycle? Well, it contributes to job growth in the state. It contributes to, you know, our tax base, honestly. Like and so I'm wondering if you approach maybe a study along that kind of market development lines. I just pulled this up real quick from Texas. They did their study, they called it a recycling market development plan because it was asked to be done in statute that way. But some of the key topics: assessing current availability of feedstock of recyclable materials, identifying potential feedstock consumers, and then of course making the recommendations based on findings, but also includes education campaign to cover economic impacts of recycling in Texas.
Do we know what
Just
type,
some idea, I'm throwing a lot out there, I know, but just some ideas.
do we know what materials that are being imported and recycled materials that are being imported?
I mean, like, you know, the glass manufacturers always like to tell their story, right? We know that they, you know, yeah, they always tell us, you know, that most of their material comes out of state, but we don't know numbers. One of our grants was with like CT Polymers. They import most of their stuff. They actually asked us about that because they almost wanted to move their plant where they were going to put the equipment to Illinois, closer to where they were importing stuff, or where they were getting their feedstock from. So I know that plastics get imported. Numbers, types, yeah, that's a lot harder to gauge. And if we didn't do these recycling market development grants, Indiana would really have no idea, right? Like, I'm able to keep my pulse on these things because of the work you guys do in awarding these grants and hearing from the people who are doing the work. So.
Hey, Tom. I know that you don't get reports from businesses.
Right.
Wouldn't that be beneficial if you did? Wouldn't that be beneficial to this question?
It would, you know, that information would have to be tracked that way and
Right.
and getting those facilities to submit that information.
Right.
And,
I mean, I'm just thinking, you know, we're thinking of, and I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, I'm just throwing this out there. we're thinking of spending money on doing a study when really what needs to happen is businesses need to just report what they're recycling. And wouldn't that answer a big part of that question?
Well, several years ago, when the legislation was passed on all of this reporting,
Yes.
businesses were successful in getting themselves exempt from that.
And I'm curious, why is that?
They just didn't want, well, they don't want to share the information because they felt some of it would be proprietary. So somebody needs to go back to the legislature again and include these people. I mean, battle needs to be done again. The last time around, the private sector was the one that pushed it. The Indiana chapter of National Waste Recycling Association was one of the driving forces in getting that data collection statute passed. I've tried to encourage them in going back and trying to include some of these people again, but I'm not sure how much desire there is to do that. That's what has to happen.
I think we hear this all the time. Like, obviously, we're not gonna get to a 50% recycling rate if there's a policy supporting it. In addition to market development activity, in addition to education and outreach, in addition to all the key factors, right? But what you're talking about is getting those people to report as a policy recommendation, and we did include that in the last report, right? Yeah, but I think to stay focused, what can the board do, right? The board does get a dedicated fund of money, and one of the things that says in state statute that we can do with that is research, studies, market development activities. So I just wanted to give this opportunity for the board as a whole. I did also just remind you guys of I gave you the sheet, the vision, the board priorities that we established in our strategic meetings, some of the recommendations from our last study, and highlighted the ones that we can influence, because I always encourage everybody who calls me, constituent, board member, anybody, to talk to the legislators. But, and the board can do that, right? They can talk to the legislators, but what can we do now? Is there education, is there a study, is there information that we can gather that will help inform policy decisions?
A little humorous side comment, I guess, of this last round. People were trying to get exempt from having to report. The incinerator did not want to report, and they were successful in being exempt. However, when the incinerator here in Indianapolis went after establishing a dirty MRF, I'll use the term dirty MRF, then they automatically fell inadvertently under the criteria where they had to report. Now, that never materialized, but it's just an example of where you try to get out of having to report by accidentally. They got themselves back into a situation where they were going to have to report.
I guess from my position, what I was thinking, and maybe I'm way off track here, but we do a great job at sitting here reviewing what the outside brings to us. But we have a pot of money with somewhere between probably 10 and $15 million sitting in the bank we can't touch unless we come up with a good idea. Why don't we put together a think tank that focuses strictly on developing recycling programs or initiatives that promote them to market to where somebody would make investment and do it? And that's what we have to look at. It's not spending money to hire people to do this work. It's investing money in these people's ideas that should return, some type of profit to us. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, we've got a lot of smart kids coming out of college.
Yes, so that leads me to this next statement. I forwarded an email to you, Deanna. I don't know if you had time to look at it, but I don't know a lot about Circular Indiana anymore. I kind of lost touch with them, but I get emails from them and they sent out a newsletter, and they had a study done with some Purdue students. And I'm sorry, it fails me right now what it was about. Do you have it, Deanna?
I know it's talking about creating recycling market hubs, I believe,
Yeah.
right?
Regionalization. I think that's what
Yeah.
the idea was, yeah.
So I think that it would be beneficial to our group to, and this is a tangent, it's probably not the focus, but for us to reach out to a group like Circular Indiana and have them present, what are they working on? Because I think they're doing some things that might be of value to our board.
I've looked at this board ever since the Chinese kind of cut off our supply. I've looked at this board as an opportunity to support innovative technologies. And the last innovative technology we had come for this board, we did not fund it. Unfortunately, I was not able to talk about that project because we had a conflict of interest. But that had to do with automotive life. And I mean, that's a big problem. And they had a technology to deal with it. And we, instead of supporting that project, we supported recycling flat screen TVs, and then that company failed. So I think we need to do something to try to encourage more innovative technologies to apply for grants. And I'm not quite sure how you do that. There have been some collaborative effects between the private sector and universities doing research on projects. And that, to me, is a good source of finding out what some of these innovative technologies are, and that's the universities.
How many people are familiar with the Next Cycle programs that other states have? Nobody. Okay. We need to have maybe at the next meeting that we have time, we need someone to present on that. So Michigan, Colorado, and the state of Washington, I know, are 3 that have it, and I believe Ohio is starting a version of it. But it is exactly what you guys are talking about. It's like a market development hub that brings together university and brings together investors, and they have and it's all about the innovation. So they actually have different cycles of different priority materials even. So they might have a flow cycle that deals with compost and organics, and then they might have one that it's plastics, and there's another group or cohort that's dealing with innovation. And then these experts from the state, from the university, from investors, they all come together and form a cohort and a group, and they meet for, say, like 6 months to a year. They talk about their projects, they flesh out their projects. And then at the end of that time, they present to a board or such for funding opportunities. A few years back, a couple of commissioners ago, actually, we were asked to actually look into how we could bring Next Cycle to Indiana. And unfortunately, it takes real support from a funding standpoint, and just kind of that backing of course, the agency to do it. But because it was, I think that the majority of the programs are contracted with RRS.
So it's just like out of Ann Arbor.
Yeah, out of Ann Arbor, exactly. And they facilitate it, and I think like their contract is $1 million a year to facilitate the Next Cycle for Michigan. And that was several years back. But maybe that is the next step we can do as well, is just have a state or someone present on their next cycle program, and we can look at how maybe the board can,
Is that NET cycle? Is that? what you're saying?
next, NEXT.
Michigan State had a group several years ago that was comprised of legislators, faculty members, and businesses. And the whole idea was to sit down and come up with emerging technologies that they'd want to market. I don't know how, I would think that most universities have some kind of a group like that. So we need to figure out how to tap into those.
You know, it's very sad. I know we've got a cooperative agreement with Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio. But in southern Indiana and Louisville, Kentucky, I don't get a lot of feedback on what's going on with Ohio State and our partners at, at the MERF. So it's information sharing, it's ideas. But I think this board could promote some concepts that we may be able to find takers on in the market in the state of Indiana. I mean, somebody's got to come up with the next great widget to sell. So, would you look into that, Deanna?
Yeah. Yeah. Matt Flechter is the one that told us all about the Michigan one, if you guys are familiar at all. He's kind of my counterpart in Michigan. He's always happy to talk to everybody. Matt Flechter. But we could also even get a perspective possibly from, Washington's program as well, which is more, I know it's more, less funded, less strongly funded, but still equally.
Matt's been around for a long time.
Yes, yeah, and Matt's been around for a long, long time. Yeah, so he's a great one to hear from. But they do, like you said, they partner with the universities and do all of that work and encourage innovation as well. So
I guess I would challenge every board member to kind of think of opportunities, to be more proactive rather than reactive. If we can promote something out to the community to see if we can get some interest and then be able to fund it, it would be, I know, very exciting. To me, it seems like it would be more exciting to all of us, rather than sit here and read all these grants that come in. I mean, it's a hell of a lot better now than it was when we started on this, doing picnic tables, recycled wood picnic tables. We're doing a lot better with this board. But I think there's opportunity that we could, even with Representative Arrington's help, get more money from the state budget and maybe do some more things with it. So I always fear for that day when the big broom comes in and that $10 to $15 million becomes $2 million and we start all over. So
Where do we start with this? I mean, it's a big project.
yeah.
I'm trying to think back. Okay, the starting point would be, and I don't know what it is. Where are we gonna start? We all feel that, we all agree, but it's a big project. Where do you start?
well, and again, this next cycle, maybe our starting point would be to ask for a presentation for them, just to get our minds going in the right direction.
I think that's key right there, Bruce, as far as going back to somebody that's done it and is doing it. How did they get started? Let them tell their story over a 15 or 20 minute or half hour conversation or presentation. This is where we started, this is where we're at, this is where we're going. And then just divide and conquer and just take it step by step each quarter that we get together. I think that's the best way to attack it.
Do you think maybe we need, and then eventually maybe redefine what we're looking for in these grant applicants?
I think we can always we always need to evolve. I mean, everything's changing, certainly. Everything's not like it was when I was 18.
No, I mean, we're going through the DRI right now. We just hired a young engineer that's younger than I've been leading people. And the information and technology he's bringing to us has not been seen in our company, and our company's 20 years old. And now we're paying dividends, as David showed, but it's one of those things too where we've got to catch up to him a little bit, and we've got to pump our brakes and try to learn. He's got to learn the old school, and we've got to learn the new school. And that's kind of where we're at with the board. That's where I think we need to step back and have Deanna bring in the people that we need and start for, okay, where do they start, so on and so forth.
I think we're gonna find the biggest challenge is one, like you said, this is a big task. The board meets quarterly. There's not the resources for me to dedicate to you guys to do more in between, really, besides managing the grants the way I am now. I mean, I'll do what I can. It is a challenge. It's just a big challenge that I see. And that leading to this question for you guys, our next board meeting is the October board meeting. We're gonna be looking at awarding the grants. Do you want this next cycle presentation to, occur during that meeting, which usually goes somewhat long anyways, or do we want to, there's already a shaking of head no. So are we looking at February before we talk about next cycle again?
I think you go to February and we take our second quarter meeting also, and we kind of build from first quarter and second quarter's meeting to get it where it needs to be, because we don't want to take, and this is just my opinion, we don't want to take away from the grant process during our next quarter, I don't think.
Yeah.
I would agree with Andrew.
And we are gonna make some changes. We need to do that before that applicants go out.
Well, could we
We can't
do,
get more meetings.
oh, I'm sorry. Could we do a virtual presentation that, it's not 3 hours long and it's just like an hour and we do it on a Teams meeting or whatever?
Like a lunch and learn type thing? Everyone grab your lunch, got some presentations.
Oh, we got 15 million to buy lunch.
I mean, we don't even have to come here.
Right,
That's what I'm
lunch,
saying.
like that's virtual lunch and learn. We do a lot of those with our departments.
Gotcha.
Yeah, a lunch and learns.
Would that be considered a public meeting?
We have to be careful about what being off of that. Yeah.
It would have to be advertised as, it'd be advertised as a meeting for the board or a board meeting. And I think there's rules that more than so many board members in the same room together, then it has to be a public meeting.
Right.
Yeah, so.
But if it's virtual,
But you can advertise it that you're not making any decisions. So there's no decision being made, it's strictly an informational meeting for the board. You can put that in there, in your door thing.
Look into it.
Yeah, we do it all the time for the State Soil Conservation Board.
It's the only agenda item.
Sure can.
so I have a question, I guess. I don't have it fully formulated, but I'm percolating. So I obviously come from the Purdue MEP background. We're the #1 manufacturing state in the US. And I am curious, certainly like glass is something that I think we've all been made well aware of. I guess what I don't know is what historically has been the level of really active collaboration with some of these larger industries. I know that they're out there saying like, hey, make some policies that benefit us. But in a time where like my company is, I would say, constantly looking at new ways to vertically integrate, and like we just opened a PV recycling company. I'm wondering if it's too far outside of the normal scope to like reach out to some of our larger industries that we know are importing materials and try and think outside the box, talk to them about what are some of the ways that we could support and collaborate. Like, why doesn't Knopf have its own drop-off center for glass that they manage? I don't know. Like, it just seems like there are some dots missing to connect us to the industries.
I hear exactly what you're saying, and I agree with it. But I think there's levels that we need to address. None of us are paid to do this. So when we get to a point of developing new products for market, I think that's gonna be an intensive, obligation. You know, our board has the ability possibly to fund a think group that would have monies to fund them to do the work, to do the collaboration, to come up with the ideas. And then report back to us. So we build a level there that we're funding through RMDB grants, to develop new product. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I mean, because we can't pay ourselves, but we can pay them.
yeah, I agree, and, yeah, I'm not saying like this board is going to solve this.
I was gonna say, a good way to look at it is, remember a few grant rounds ago, we had a gentleman submit a grant application for pallets. Remember that pallet idea that he wanted to take all these pallets and.
The shipping
throw it in the
containers?
shipping container
Oh, yeah,
and do that.
the collection.
And I think most of the board liked the idea of what he was trying to do, but it was severely lacking. I mean, there was a lot of information. So you can get a project like that the board can see a future or can see a product, but you can't develop him into the things he needs to consider, the steps he needs to take to make something like that viable. But what the board could do, similar to like the next program, is hire someone or hire, a collaboration or a group to lead a collaboration like that, to formulate that idea into something that is marketable, that makes sense, as something that, could be a viable in-market product that the board can see. I think that's similar to how Next works.
Yeah.
So I might be way too far out in left field here, but like, could we fund something that could be essentially an incubator for businesses like that are not quite ready, but they just need some more support that
If you
maybe they're not getting?
if you were concentrating on the product, not the business.
It says here, I actually did pull up state statute because I thought this question might come up. The board can provide funding for studies, research projects, and other activities required to assess the nature and extent of recycling markets in Indiana and the nature and extent of recycling resources to meet the needs of the state. And then, of course, there's the grant part of it too, include Indiana businesses so it says receive. But there is a part where we can grant funds towards, recycling activities that further markets as well.
Is there any way we can maybe integrate with some of these incubator projects? Purdue has incubator projects. I know Michigan State has a facility for incubating projects.
I mean, I think that's the idea if this were to come to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, if there are programs that are already out there, but, maybe they're not getting to the same questions that we want to get at, if we could work with them rather than reinventing the wheel per se, just get them to dive to that deeper level. Because I mean, at some level, I feel like there are, plenty of reports that are out there to give you, like, we all have kind of, I think, a rough idea of what's out there in terms of who's looking for materials, maybe not exact numbers, but, and of course, we don't have a complete picture, but I don't know, I guess, I'd like to try and find something where we can get closer to an actual item instead of just another study.
Certainly don't want to do another waste characterization study.
Even if we contract a company to do this and they call XYZ company and say, we're doing this research project, we want to know what kind of materials you need and, what maybe Indiana can provide. And they're going to say, I don't have to tell you anything. This is my business and it's private information. And that's why we don't have Tom reporting, because they don't. And there might be a few, and I guess they'd be the ones that would benefit, I guess.
Well, and I think that's where I feel like there's part of this gap is that if I'm working for a manufacturer and somebody comes to me and says, hey, I know you guys are trying to get recycled glass. There's an opportunity here that we haven't quite fully fleshed out. If we could find a way to get more of that glass collected, to get it to you, then it wouldn't be shipped as far. It would probably cost this much less. You would actually end up saving on your input costs, and it could have a lot of benefits to you as a company, but we need information from you first. I mean, I think there's a way to propose it to industry to get their attention.
It's all presentation.
Right.
And trying to explain to them what we're trying to drive to help them is what you're trying to get to.
Right, what's in it for me?
It's still gonna come down to economics, and glasses are a problem.
Well, I just use glass as an example, but it could be other materials.
Well, I think it, good discussion item. Let's get, next cycle scheduled for the first, quarter of the year. And just everybody think about being a little bit more proactive rather than just reactive to grants coming in. And, we all deal with it every day. Just, I think it would be exciting to have a think tank working on stuff within the state. That would maybe be groundbreaking.
Could it be possible, Deanna, to have one of those side states help us come in and talk during first quarter, or us as a group or individuals? Who do we have in our back pockets that can help us? Maybe you've got Purdue Kelly's from that standpoint, someone coming in from Purdue and talking to us during the same meeting after hearing the person from maybe Ohio talking. That way you're kind of connecting two things within one meeting, because I'm looking at it going, okay, we've got 4 meetings a year. How can we, our first 2 meetings of the year, first and second quarter, those are our two meetings. We got to make a big bang for the buck as far as, okay, hey, we're going to make a change. Because third quarter, like right now, we're kind of all, okay, hey, what did we do the first part of the year, reviewing, and then the fourth quarter meeting, or third quarter meeting is basically, okay, we're giving the money out. We've got to make a move in the first 2 quarters, is the way I kind of see it. And this would be a good opportunity to take the one in, is it January or February?
Late January, early February. So
We can take that one by bringing in, if it's Ohio, we bring in Ohio, we bring in Purdue or whomever. And then that way we kind of get out in front of them and say, this is what we're looking for. They can bring their piece, the other company or other, information people bring in their part of it to give us a better idea when we go into the second quarter meeting, okay, what decisions can we make, or what decisions or direction do we want to go? A lot said with just, it's trying to get the right people into that meeting, being the next time we meet, it's gonna be not this, it's gonna be, okay, guess what, Sandy, you can't vote on that, that's your company. Guess what, Drew, you can't vote on that, that's your company. We're gonna be giving out money and we're not gonna have time to focus on this. So it's like getting it right here to who we bring in for that meeting during first quarter. But I think it's needed. I think all of us agree it's needed. It's just who are the players we need to bring in to help support us. And that's where I'm kind of relying on you guys, because you guys are in it deeper than what we are. We're on the front line battling it and going through it. But you guys have the connection. I mean, with all your years, Terry, you have a lot of connections that might know something about it, that might be able to bring it in. I don't know.
That'll be the initiative then moving forward. And, maybe we can find a little speck of gold out there somewhere that turns into a fortune. Again, we need to do our part. Hopefully we earn reappointment and we can all continue to work on it after we come up with this idea. And maybe get a raise. We'll go from 1 cup of coffee to 2 cups of coffee. All right.
I'd like to go back a little bit to the Circular Indiana conversation. I've been working with them quite a bit, and I know that their focus right now is extended producer responsibility. And they're having their 3rd annual conference on, I think it's September It's next,
Keep talking.
it's coming up.
It's September 8th.
So that will be part of what they're doing. But they've been in conversations with a national recycling nonprofit group that seems to be doing quite a lot of work, and I don't remember the name right now.
The recycling partnership.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't know if that's some other organization you would want to have as part of this conversation of what kind of innovations do we need?
They've come to talk to you guys a while back, but they have been here. So, yeah. And they have, I mean, that's what they kind of talk to us about is how can we structure our grants to benefit most people, actually. So we can see if it can be part of the conversation.
Thank you, Sue, for adding that,
Yeah.
because that's what I'm thinking, you know, there are people who are doing this kind of work, and can we tap into them too?
Do other states have success with getting information from their businesses about what they're importing and exporting? Or are they in the same position?
I think there's state laws and policies that require them to report, and then with the extended producer responsibility that Sue is mentioning, that's really the recycling partnerships like push right now. In states, I think there's 8 states now that have it. There might be a few more that have added this year, but there's a lot of reporting requirements necessary for manufacturers when that comes to like EPR around like paper and packaging, right? So.
Yeah, if that's an area that is closely being watched by the solid waste industry, because there has to be some kind of structure set up to handle the EPR.
Right.
And gotta be careful who that party is. I mean, that's our concern.
Yeah, a lot of the states have contracted that work, like the responsible party that manages the, funds that go in and how they go back out. So there's a new Circular Action Alliance that's doing a lot of work in that sector for some of the states.
Well, we look forward to hearing from next cycle in the first quarter, if we can get it set up. That'd be a good start. Let's see, the next item on the agenda is just basically our remaining schedule, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's on the hook for one more meeting. Our next meeting will be October 23rd, 2025. Pat will put on a Christmas party for us early. I expect key lime pie, Pat. But I think, Daniel, you've laid out the schedule for when the grants applications will be available for our review and scoring. Get that done. Everybody, please give it your best effort to review all of them. We have to get Terry's got a lot of problems with them, Michael, so he's gonna have a lot of recusals.
The list on my phone as we speak.
You need to add that other one.
I'm gonna have a few coming your way too. And so everybody, please make sure you look at that. And get all those turned into Michael. And I look forward to the fun meeting of the year and the fall meeting. And where we actually give people the opportunity to impress us with their efforts and with a little bit of funding. So any other comments or topics of discussion the board wants to bring up? Board members want to bring up?
Bruce, I forgot one thing in my report out was our community recycling grant program the RFP is open right now, closes August 8th. So I forgot to mention that earlier at the start of the meeting. So.
Okay. Thank you, Carl. Michael?
Yeah, I did connect with our AOVA expert, Terry, your point about the lunch and learn, we will be able to do a lunch and learn without considering that. Yeah, great.
Pat, do you have anything else for us?
No, I don't.
Anybody else hiding back there? Tom, you've been quiet as a mouse over there.
I've been listening, I always like to listen in, it's good, and a lot of activity going on, I will say that, a lot of activity going on, very exciting times to be in the really the waste and recycling business. Just really tremendous opportunities.
Well, I thank everyone for their time today and everyone online for joining us, whoever's still there. I think the last remaining item is a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Mr. Curran, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Noonan, all in favor? Any discussion first? Nobody's complaining. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Imagine that, nobody. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Deanna, thank you very much.
Yeah, they are. There's some that are still working out that are not. You know, the city of Indianapolis is not even good. Yeah, but there are some of the funds, actually.
And I'm like, it's your county office, you're cutting your entire county office.